Have you ever felt like you were in a relationship with a ghost? One moment, he's all in, texting, making plans, sharing inside jokes. The next, cold, distant,
Gone.
no fight, no warning, just vanished. You start questioning everything. Did I say something wrong? Did I come on too strong? But the more you reach out, the more he pulls away.
It's exhausting.
It's confusing.
And it hurts.
But listen to me. Avoidants do love. They just love differently. Their biggest fear? Losing control. Getting too close feels risky. Being vulnerable?
Terrifying.
So, when an avoidant man actually falls for you, he won't show it like a typical partner. There are no grand confessions, no constant "I miss you" texts. Instead, he expresses love in ways that are subtle and easy to miss. And that's where most women make a huge mistake. They assume he doesn't care, when in reality, he does. So today, we're decoding the secret ways avoidants show love. Because if he's doing these things, even when he's distant, he's in love with you. Welcome to Girlify Mind, where we break down relationships, attraction, and the psychology of love so you can stop overthinking and start understanding. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how an avoidant shows love and whether he's worth waiting for. Let's get into it. Point 1. They show love in small, unexpected ways. Avoidants aren't the romantic, grand gesture types. They won't flood you with texts or shower you with compliments. In fact, the more they care, the more they might hold back, because for them, emotional closeness feels risky. So instead of saying, "I love you" outright, they'll show it in small, subtle ways. Maybe he remembers your coffee order without asking. Maybe he notices when you're stressed and does something quietly thoughtful, like fixing something in your home or sending you a random meme that makes you smile. He won't always be direct, but his actions speak louder than words. Another big clue? He listens, even when he pretends not to. He might not say much in response, but later, you'll notice he actually remembered. He'll bring up something you said weeks ago, proving that he was paying attention all along. And when an avoidant is in love, he'll want to be useful to you. Maybe he offers to drive you somewhere, helps you with a problem, or finds practical ways to make your life easier. This isn't just being nice. For avoidants, acts of service are love. But here's the catch. If you don't recognize these subtle gestures, you might assume he doesn't care, when in reality, he's expressing love in the way he knows how. So pay attention. The love is there. You just have to see it in the details. Point 2. They need space, but they always come back. One of the hardest things about loving an avoidant is dealing with their need for space. At first, things feel amazing. You're texting all the time. You're connecting. Then suddenly he pulls away. The messages slow down. The calls stop. He seems distant, uninterested, even cold. It hurts. And your first instinct? You panic. You wonder if you did something wrong. You ask yourself, did I say too much? Was I too needy? But here's the truth. It's not you. It's him. Avoidants don't pull away because they don't care. They pull away because the connection is starting to feel too intense, and their automatic response is to create distance. But here's the key sign that he actually loves you. He comes back. A truly avoidant man who doesn't care? He disappears permanently. But if he's in love with you, he'll withdraw for a while, but then he'll return. Maybe with a random text. Maybe with a simple, "Hey, how's your day?" It won't be dramatic. It won't be a long apology. But he'll show up again. Because he misses you. The mistake most women make? Chasing him when he pulls away. Begging for reassurance. Demanding answers. and that just pushes him further away. The best way to handle an avoidant man when he needs space?
Give it to him.
Let him pull back, because if he truly loves you, he won't stay gone. He'll always find his way back to you. Point 3. They open up, but only to you. Have you ever noticed how he keeps things surface level with everyone, but with you, he lets his guard down just a little? Avoidants don't trust easily. They've spent years perfecting the art of emotional self-protection. If he's letting you into his world, even in small ways, it's a huge deal. At first, it's nothing obvious. Maybe he mentions a childhood memory in passing. Maybe he makes a sarcastic joke about his past relationships. Maybe one night, out of nowhere, he casually shares something personal, a family issue, a past mistake, a fear. To most people, it would seem minor. But for an avoidant, that's massive. Because avoidants only open up when they feel safe. If he's sharing even little pieces of his world with you, it means he trusts you in a way he doesn't trust most people. But here's the tricky part. He'll do it slowly. If you react too emotionally or push for more, he might shut down again. Avoidants aren't used to vulnerability, so even when they open up, they're still half ready to retreat. So if you want to keep the connection growing, here's what you do. Listen.
Stay calm. Don't overreact.
Let him share at his own pace. Because once an avoidant starts to see you as his safe place, he'll keep coming back, and every time, he'll open up just a little more. That's how you know he's in love. Point 4. They struggle with affection, but they try. Let's be honest, avoidants aren't exactly cuddly teddy bears. If you're expecting constant hand-holding, forehead kisses, and sweet good morning texts, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That's not how they operate. For an avoidant, too much emotional closeness feels overwhelming. The idea of being completely open and affectionate? It's uncomfortable, even scary. But here's what most people don't realize. If an avoidant truly loves you, he will step outside his comfort zone, even if it's just a little. Maybe he reaches for your hand when he thinks no one is looking. Maybe he leans in a little closer when you're talking. Maybe, after weeks of being distant, he finally texts first. It might seem small, but for him, it's huge. Because avoidants don't naturally do affection. They don't wake up thinking, let me text her first today. Instead, they have to fight their own instincts to show love. So if he's trying, even if it's awkward, even if it's inconsistent, that's your sign. He's in love. But here's where a lot of women go wrong. They expect too much, too fast. They assume that if he really cared, he'd suddenly turn into a romantic boyfriend overnight. That's not how it works. Avoidants need time. They need space to adjust to the idea of love. So instead of demanding more affection, appreciate the small efforts he's making. Because for him, every little gesture is a big step. Point 5. They commit in their own way. Here's the number one thing to understand about avoidance. They fear losing their independence more than anything. To them, love can feel like a trap. A relationship means expectations, obligations, and emotional demands, all the things they've spent their lives avoiding. That's why most avoidants resist commitment. It's not because they don't care. It's because they see commitment as a threat to their freedom. But here's the surprising part. If an avoidant truly loves you, he will commit in his own way. It won't always be verbal. He might not give you a long speech about his feelings. He might not even call you his girlfriend right away. But you'll see it in his actions. Maybe he starts making plans with you weeks in advance, something he would never do with anyone else. Maybe he introduces you to his closest friends, something he avoids with casual flings. Maybe he includes you in his long-term goals, even if he doesn't say it directly. And when an avoidant makes you part of his routine, that's when you know he's serious. Because avoidants don't do commitment lightly. If he's choosing to keep you in his life, despite his fears, despite his instinct to run, it's not an accident. It's love. Point 6. They need reassurance, even if they don't ask for it. This might surprise you, but avoidants, despite their cool, distant vibe, are actually filled with self-doubt. Deep down, they don't believe they're good at relationships. They think they'll mess it up. They assume they'll disappoint you. And because of that, they often push you away first before you get the chance to leave them. It's a defense mechanism. If they sabotage the relationship first, they don't have to risk getting hurt. But here's the thing. If an avoidant loves you, he needs reassurance, even if he never asks for it. Not in a clingy, over-the-top way, but in small moments. A casual, "Hey, I love being around you." A simple, "I appreciate you." Letting him know that you see him, you value him, and you're not going anywhere. That doesn't mean you should overcompensate. It's not your job to fix his fears. But if you want to build a relationship with an avoidant, you have to give them space, while also making them feel secure. Because the moment an avoidant starts to believe you won't abandon them, that's when they start to let their guard down. And that's when they finally love you the way you've been waiting for. Point 7. They test you without realizing it. Have you ever had an avoidant man pick a fight out of nowhere? Or suddenly pull away right when things are going great? It feels random, confusing, even cruel, but here's the truth. It's not about you. It's a test. Avoidants don't trust easily. Deep down, they believe love always ends in pain. So before they let themselves fall, they'll push you to the edge. They test you by pulling back, just to see if you'll chase. They test you by acting indifferent, just to see if you'll still stay. They might even say something hurtful or dismissive, just to see if you'll leave like they always feared. And if you do, it confirms their worst belief. Getting close to someone is dangerous. No one stays. It's not logical. It's not fair. But it's their deepest fear at play, the fear of abandonment. So, how do you handle this? First, don't take the bait. When an avoidant pulls back, the worst thing you can do is overreact, beg, or demand answers. That just makes them feel trapped. Instead, stay calm, steady, and unbothered. Second, set boundaries. Just because he's afraid of getting hurt doesn't mean you have to tolerate endless emotional roller coasters. Let him know that you care, but also that you won't be played with. Because here's the secret. An avoidant doesn't need you to chase. They need to know that you're different, that you won't abandon them, but you also won't tolerate games. And when they see that, they stop testing. That's when they realize you're worth holding on to. Point 8. When an avoidant truly loves you, this happens. So how do you know when an avoidant is all in? Not when he says, "I love you." Not when he makes some big romantic gesture. But when he stops running. At first, it's subtle. He doesn't disappear as much. He starts responding faster. He actually initiates plans instead of leaving everything up to you. Then it becomes obvious. He starts including you in his daily life, not just when it's convenient, but because he actually wants you there. He begins sharing deeper parts of himself without you having to pull it out of him. He lets you see his flaws, his fears, his messy, imperfect self. That's when you know it's real. But let's be honest. Most women never get to this point. They get stuck chasing, waiting, trying to prove their worth. Because avoidants don't just wake up one day and become emotionally available. They change when they feel safe enough to do so. And that takes time. So before you ask yourself, does he love me? Ask yourself this first. Do I love the way he makes me feel? Because avoidants may love in their own way, but if you're constantly anxious, constantly doubting yourself, constantly wondering where you stand, then maybe it's not about his love. Maybe it's about yours. Are you willing to keep waiting, hoping, and proving yourself? Or is it time to realize that the right person won't make you question your worth? That's the real answer. Conclusively, you finally understand him. The avoidant man. The one who makes you feel special one moment, invisible the next. The one who pulls you in only to leave you wondering if you ever meant anything at all. You've spent so much time trying to figure him out, analyzing his words, his silence, his every move, trying to make sense of the chaos he brings into your heart. But let's stop for a second, because there's one question you haven't asked yet. It's not, does he love me? It's, do I love the way he makes me feel? Because love, real love, shouldn't feel like waiting, guessing, or proving yourself every single day. Yes, avoidance love. Yes, they struggle with intimacy. Yes, they need time. But what about you? Are you happy? Are you secure? Do you feel loved in a way that fills you? Not just in the rare moments he lets his guard down, but every day. Because love shouldn't feel like you're chasing a ghost. If he's showing up, if he's trying, if he's meeting you halfway, then maybe, just maybe, he's worth it. But if you're the one doing all the work, waiting, hoping, begging for scraps of affection, then maybe it's time to wake up. Because here's the truth. When a man truly loves you, you won't have to convince him to stay. He'll stay because he wants to. And when you finally choose yourself, that's when you'll find the love you've been looking for all along. This is Girlify Mind, where we help you decode love, attraction, and relationships so you can step into your power. If this hit home for you, drop a comment below. Tell me, have you ever loved an avoidant man? How did it feel? And don't forget, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the truth about love and relationships. Because here, at Girlify Mind, we don't just talk about love. We understand it.